For over 2 years, I've dreamed of this trip. Since diving into this overlanding thing, I've been intrigued by the idea of the backcountry discovery routes. The idea that you can travel across an entire state through a network of Forest Service roads and BLM roads and goat trails is fascinating to me, and it calls to me to explore them all. But by far, the call to complete a single one of these routes in an Astro van that was never intended to be an off-road vehicle is the challenge that has spoken to me the loudest. After 2 years of knocking out one section at a time through breakdowns and modifications, we are finally on our way to completing the last one. By the end of this video, we will have completed the entire Oregon backcountry discovery route. So grab a drink, sit down, and join us as we complete Section 2 of the Oregon backcountry discovery route. For us, the final piece of the ORBDR challenge.
Did you see the sign on top of the store?
No.
Says Plush, Oregon, a small, quiet drinking town with a cattle problem.
That's awesome.
When we left you last, we were completing Section 1 of the Oregon BDR, and we're headed into the little town of Plush, Oregon for some much-needed fuel. It also marks the end of Section 1 and the beginning of Section 2. We were excited to meet the challenges that this final section for us would throw our way. After 2 years of doing it the hard way, I finally bought myself a set of tire deflators. I really love them because I just go around and screw them in, and by the time I get to the last one, the first one is done and I can remove them. So far, they're pretty consistent for getting my tires to the exact pressure that I want.
There you go.
Fueled up and aired down, we were finally ready to hit the road. Just about the time we were starting to think, dang, this is going to be smooth sailing, as the BDR planners often do, we found ourselves turning off the gravel highway and onto a narrow 2-track where things would get a bit more challenging.
Back onto the 2-track.
Off we go into the wilderness.
Water crossing.
Yeehaw!
He's leading the way. He's like, no, go this way. Don't go that way. That way's scared. Go this way. Yes, like this.
This was a portion of the route I'd been concerned about. I'd read about people saying there were a lot of off-camber spots in this section, and with several springs it tends to stay wet well into the season. Of course, with moisture comes mosquitoes. That's where all the mosquitoes are coming from. Okay, let me tell you the story about what's going on here. You see, I spent a few years on the farm when I was a kid, and I learned at a very early age how to operate a barbed wire gate. Ellie has not. And on our first trip on the Oregon BDR, she seriously struggled with how to operate a gate. I couldn't show her and film, so all of my ridiculous pantomiming is me showing her how a gate with a pry bar is supposed to work. And of course, you always close the gate after you go through it, as everyone knows. If you found it closed, you leave it closed. If you found it open, you leave it open. This is one of those off-camber spots I'd mentioned. The camera doesn't really do it justice, but the road is quite narrow through here, and that right-hand track is about half washed out. A misplaced tire would cause the bank to give way, and the vehicle would slide 2 or 3 feet into the stream below. Yeah, those ruts were a bit deeper than I anticipated. Believe me, I checked the undercarriage on the rigs to make sure that rock hadn't done any damage. This part of Section 2 was really starting to feel like an extension of Section 1. So much more sagebrush and rocks, and plenty of challenges. Fortunately, the spot I had my eye on for camp would not be far away. Salt or anything?
Nope.
Oh. Damn, that's good. Wow, that was very good.
That's nice to hear because it was the meal that you were the least excited about.
Was it?
Yeah. You're like, yeah, I suppose I mean, like if you make it, I'll eat it, but.
Did I say that?
Yeah, pretty much your exact words. You're like coconut milk and lime juice? Hell, you say.
That's pretty good foo-foo dinner, baby. I like it.
It's pretty good. I'm not sad about it.
I like it.
That wind is a tad bit nippy.
Yep. $6,300 feet.
And just 80 miles to go tomorrow. I hate to say just because you never know.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we got about 17 and a half miles into Section 2. It was a rock fest. More off-camber stuff, more challenges. Wasn't really a lot of places to camp that weren't just completely overrun with mosquitoes. It was a little bit wet in some of the canyons and stuff. And other than that, there just wasn't really a whole lot of place to camp. We rolled up here on top of this butte here in a Coyote Buttes, I think is what it's called. Anyway, there's a viewpoint up here, and we decided that this was our view for the night. And I don't know if you can see it or not in there, but I am going to shoot some time lapse of the night sky in here. So not sure if we're supposed to camp here. There is a cell tower right there. Didn't see any signs anywhere saying we couldn't camp here, so I don't know. Anyway, this is home for the night. We're really glad that both rigs have heaters in them because we're 6,300 feet and it is chilly. A little bit breezy. I'm not sure if you can hear that wind or not, but yeah, it's going to be a good night for time lapse and good night to cuddle in underneath the blankets and stay warm. So, gonna call it a night. Not gonna be any campfire time tonight because, yeah, a little windy, a little breezy. Kind of getting things buttoned up and getting ready to head for bed.
very early this morning, had to pee. Got to see the sunrise.
Was it a good one?
It was pretty.
Okay, gonna try this. Not sure if you can hear me for all the wind. It's a little bit windy up here on top. It is day 2, Section 2, the Oregon BDR. We are up on top of the Coyote Buttes viewpoint area, and you can see for miles out here. We're getting cleaned up, getting ready to head out. Another long day, but it's really cool because from this viewpoint you can actually see the route where we come down off of the hill, and then we follow the power lines, and then there's a canyon we've got to drop into and come back out of, and then we follow the power lines again all the way as far as you can see until we get to the hills over on the other side, and then all the stuff we got to do over there. 80 some miles today. Don't know if we're going to get it all. We'll get most of it if we don't get all of it, and then we'll be done with the Oregon BDR. We will have done the entire thing. Okay, I have to address this. I was in the process of moving my drone ahead of us to get an establishing shot of the rigs approaching. I didn't even realize I was recording. I was focused on getting into position. I did not even know until I got home and downloaded my footage that I had captured a herd of antelope running across the desert floor, no doubt running from the loud vehicles approaching. At that distance, I doubt they could even see or hear my drone. For the record, I would never intentionally harass an animal with my drone. In fact, if I see animals, we usually put the drone down and put it away.
Galloping. It's probably the slowest one I've ever seen.
It's walking.
Okay, a little inside joke here. I was just telling Lisa the night before that antelope don't walk. I've never seen one walk. They're either very still or at a dead run. This was kind of fun. We came around the corner and got to see them just finishing up unloading cattle off of this truck. It was fun watching the cattle dogs do their work. Sadly, I didn't get the camera out quite in time. I'd probably like for us to get on time. I just had to get this wide shot with Lake Abert in the background. It shows just how small we are in the vast desert scape. An interesting fact about Lake Abert and the other alkali lakes of southeast Oregon. They are alkali because the water flows into them, but they have no outlet, so the water evaporates off and soaks into the soil. So at different times of the year, the lake may be very full or it may go completely dry. But even as large as Lake Abert is, it doesn't get more than a few feet deep at its deepest point.
Neato mosquito!
Crazy how fast they run.
Seriously crazy.
We saw so many more antelope after we left the antelope refuge than we did anywhere near the refuge. It's mind-boggling to me just how much open land there is here. Just hundreds and hundreds of miles of nothing but sagebrush and dust. As we got higher in elevation, the sand turned to silt, and that meant loads of dust. And when it wasn't dusty, it was rocky. So it was either smooth sailing or slow, careful picking our lines through the rock gardens. As we plugged along, it seemed like surely we must be getting close. And then we checked the map and nope, we're only a little over halfway. Even though Section 2 is much shorter in miles, it feels longer. I don't know why. So why do we do this? Why put ourselves through what clearly seems like torture? I can tell you why. Take a look out my windshield. We are seeing parts of Oregon that very few Oregonians will ever see. It's the fascination with seeing this vast area that is, for the most part, untouched by humans, and realizing it's ours to enjoy in that moment, not a soul around for dozens of miles. It's also for the sake of saying we did it. Why do people climb mountains? Why do they hike in the wilderness? Because it is there, waiting, inviting to be explored. That is the beauty of our forest lands and BLM lands, and that is the beauty of overlanding, to get out and see nature untamed. This would be the last known obstacle that I was concerned about, the infamous arched cattle guard of Oregon BDR Section 2. More than a couple of adventure bikers have launched off of it, some with resulting injuries or motorcycle damage. We would take a much more cautious approach because I was afraid we might get high-centered on it. To my surprise, as we drove over it, it flattened out as if on a hydraulic lift. So for us, we crossed it easily, even with Lisa's long wheelbase truck. By the time her front tires cleared it and it started to lift, her back tires pushed it right back down. I'm not sure the reasoning for this complex cattle guard, but it sure gave us an interesting moment or two in an otherwise monotonous day. The day had grown quite long, what felt like the longest day of this trip, even if the miles said otherwise. And then, as we drove over the last hill, off in the distance our destination came into view. Christmas Valley seemed so close, yet still so far. The Oregon BDR would not let us off so easy, though. We still had several miles of road that mixed from silty, dusty sand to rocks and deep ruts. It would still take us nearly 45 minutes to finally get into town. Okay, we did it. Yay! We are in Christmas Valley, Oregon, which is the end of Section 2. This weekend we did Section 1 and Section 2, and that brought us, that means that we have done the whole entire Oregon BDR.
Yes.
And how fitting is it that we ended where we started.
Exactly. This is
We started on Section 3, which starts in Christmas Valley. We ended with Section 2 in Christmas Valley. We did 280 miles, something like that this weekend.
A lot.
I'll put it down here. And so, yeah, it's been a really, really long trip. And of course, by the time you're seeing this, you have seen all of it. So thanks for watching. And we're going to have us some dinner and go to bed because we're so tired.
Kisses, everybody.
We're super excited to have completed all 7 sections of the Oregon BDR now. If you've not done it and are preparing for it, I highly recommend it, but you're always welcome to just ride along with us as well. If you've made it this far, why not give us a thumbs up? Even better yet, leave us a question or comment. We love interacting with our followers. If you've enjoyed this video, you should consider hitting that subscribe button, and while you're at it, hit the bell as well. That way you'll be notified whenever we post new content, because we're not the kind of YouTubers who post content regularly. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you on the next adventure.